Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Q&A Investment Dominator call. And again, I'm Warren Davis, and just happy to be back with you here on this beautiful Monday. It's the 30th of September, 5 p.m. And so glad to see so many of you on the call. And as you may be aware, we did just complete a wonderful 2-day workshop on last week, 2-day Investment Dominator workshop. And there could be plenty, many of you online with us here. And I see there's Brian letting me know that the sound check is coming through, so you can hear me loud and clear, and hopefully you can see my screen, the LPG deal flow. Thank you, Brian, from out there in Arkansas. Always appreciate you being on there with us, Brian, and helping things move forward. So those of you that are brand new to the call, this is your first time coming in, you can see the LPG deal flow screen, and just want you to know that we're going to be getting your questions answered. Excellent, thank you. And those of you that are brand new want to know how to answer your questions, you have a control box, hopefully over to the right side of your screen. In that control box, if you would be so kind as to type in your questions. When you do type in a question, if you put a question mark in front of the question, or you type in the word question, that will allow me to distinguish or differentiate between questions that are coming in and just mere comments. And so that you type that in and then hit send, and that will end up on my screen. And we can talk about anything Investment Dominator related, or even we do try to keep it Investment Dominator related, but if we go into some of the our business processes, we'll see if we can answer those questions as well. So in getting your questions answered, we're going to hopefully show you how to handle a lot of the Investment Dominator related issues, and we will proceed accordingly. So glad that you all are here. This is a very special day for me, a kind of a surreal day, as I just finished about an hour and 10 minutes ago, logged off from my day job there. So I am feeling like a free man here, at least for the last hour. And it's been, I think I'm anticipating it's going to be great. It's just interesting, kind of surreal, as I was thinking about the fact I'm spending my first couple hours, or at least my second of my retirement hours, with the very group representing the industry that freed me from that corporate position. So just kind of very surreal when I think about that. And I don't want you to misunderstand me. I've been in IT for about the last 37 years, and was a good field, and I was really appreciated being able to be a part of that field. And to some degree, I'm working in it even right now. But it's nice to be able to finally let that job go. When I started this business, my wife and I, about a little over 2 years ago, I really could not see a way out of that corporate America position. And even after they're doing the first couple of deals, I was excited, but I really didn't see a way that I would be, actually being able to come off the job. And just over the last, thank you so much, Don, I appreciate that. Over the last, several, 6 to 8 months, actually after the first year in the business, I could actually see a way where we were going to be able to replace our income. But today was actually my last day, and I'm feeling pretty good here. So planning on sleeping in a little bit in the morning and seeing what that feels like. So in any case, let's get to these questions. We do want you to understand that there's basically two groups of you that are represented now on the call. And this is something I didn't understand. Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate that. Say, oh, okay. You've been about for a while. Congrats. Okay. Great. That is wonderful. I tell you. A lot of my family and friends are telling me how much I'm going to enjoy retirement, and I can see with I'm going to be kept pretty busy with this land business, but I'm definitely looking forward to that, being able to implement a lot of things in our business that we haven't had the time to do so, over the past because we've been working that job. So glad to know, Phil, you know what it's like to be out of that corporate position and just have some time to yourself. And anyway, looking forward to that. So we just want you to understand that usually after a 2-day workshop, we have a group that's on the webinar with us tonight that they've come from the 2-day workshop. So they've got another level of question probably set for us, which is normal. And we still do have with us, some beginners, some first time folks and Investment Dominator. So there's two different levels that's represented here, and this is good. So just want you to know I'll be addressing questions from, the more senior folks that have, especially after a 2-day workshop, they've gotten a lot of questions answered, and they will be um, looking to ask questions maybe at a more senior level. And then we'll have the ones that are just starting. I want you to feel free to send your questions in as well. And we are going to get those questions answered because no matter where you're at, it's important to get your questions answered. So just want everybody to be patient as we answer, all types of the questions there. All right. Yes. Wow. Fantastic, Brian. Brian's been in that mode of being retired for a few years now. Wow. That is really great. Well, I'm gonna let you know how I feel even just next month. I'll probably be letting you know how good it feels. Um, Excellent. Yep, I understand, Phil. We are hopefully going to be supporting you in your next phase and being able to move into a full time with the land business if that's what you want to do, or just support you in however you want to be successful in this business. So to look at some of our questions that we have had from even last week, we had, as everybody's patient, we had one of our students did ask, and we had to have some clarification. They asked about any way to reset the IDs or the IDs that are in your land deals records here. We had one question: is there any way to reset these IDs as they come in? Because every time you import, even if you imported, and let's say I went up into the my team area and I went to the activity log, and let's just say I'm going to find a position. Let's see if I can find. Okay, so if we had an import and I decided to delete my last import, whatever range of records it gives me, and then I come back into the land deals record, you remember, and I select those records, and if I were to delete these records out of Investment Dominator, and then I re-imported them again into Investment Dominator. Investment Dominator, especially if it's the same file, same names, Investment Dominator is going to bring those records in, but it's going to increment this ID because this is a land record, and it's going to re-import those records, and there's going to have some brand new numbers here because that's how Investment Dominator in your account makes sure that you don't have any duplicate records. So one of the questions was simply, you know, um, how can we reset? Is there any way to reset these IDs? And the answer is no. And then another question came, was right along with that one in the same vein is, well, can you reset the customer letter reference number, which is actually the owner ID? So if I were to come in here, just so that all of you understand, if I came in here and I came down to this owner ID here, the reference number that you'll see, that your customers will see on their records, is there a way to ever reset this owner ID? And the answer to that is no. We don't reset that, because Investment Dominator, I just want to make sure you understand, it creates a land record, which has to do with each individual record, because one owner could have multiple parcels. So we give each land record an individual ID, and then there's an owner ID record associated with each land record. And that's how we keep it from being you duplicating any records from being duplicated in the Investment Dominator. So just wanted you to know the answer to that is no. There's no way to reset that, and that's by design, so that Investment Dominator doesn't duplicate any owner records, and it will not duplicate any land records. All right. So, all right, we're going to start getting into some of the questions I see coming in. I'll do my best to get all of the questions answered today. I don't recognize some of the names that are here today, so that tells me that we've got some, still have some new students, which is great. And so we had a few questions from last week, because we were here on Monday, but we weren't here on Thursday. So Dean had asked a question about neutral letters that get returned. Neutral letters returned, should you delete those in the Investment Dominator? Okay, and that's a good question, and the answer to that one is I wouldn't delete them. I would think that would be no. So if they get returned, do we delete those in ID? No. If we were to send these prospect records out and they come back as return to sender, meaning the specific address that is associated with these records was not found. So depending on what that address was, the question is, should we delete these records out? And I would say absolutely not. What I'd want to do is select them, come in and change the status from prospect to, remember, skip trace. So I'd want to update that to skip trace, which just tells me now I have a record in here that I need to either send to VAs, or I need to find out what the actual address is on that particular record, so that I can resend this out and hopefully get it to the right owner. Okay, and then the follow-up question to that specific question came in as to, well, if it's represented by the realtor, what if you have one of these records that are represented, you find out there's a realtor or even another investor, should we delete those? I would say no. I wouldn't delete those records either, even if they are, you find out that there's a realtor involved. We really have been sending, we continue to send to those individuals that even though they have a realtor. We found that a lot of times there may be a realtor listed on the record, but when you talk to the actual customer, you find out that the realtor has had the property for, who knows how long, and they haven't done anything with the property. They haven't been able to sell the property, haven't been, they're not even getting a lot of looks on the property. Could very well, as you all know, be responsibility of or I should say, could be the reason they're not getting a look is because of the way they posted their ad. Their ads just aren't attention getting. So should you delete those records? No, I would send to them anyway and let the owner deal with the realtor. Now, if if you need to get involved with the realtor, you'll do that at the next step after the owner calls you back or lets you know that he's interested or she's interested in selling that property. They'll get in touch with you, and then uh, if there is a realtor involved, you ask them about their realtor. And we've had individuals that have said, well, hey, just see what you can do with the property. I'll deal with my realtor. So I just want to go forward with, making a deal with you. And it's worked out just fine. We've also had the case where the realtor has gotten involved and we've paid them a small percentage um, after the deal was closed and we found a buyer for that property. And so the realtor was happy, customers happy, and of course we're happy. Okay, so hope that is clear. Don't worry about it. So let me see. We've got some questions coming in here. If I can handle some of these right now. And I tell you what we'll do. Remember, if we can't get to all of them tonight, we will definitely get to them by the next call, which will be Thursday at 12 noon. So let me make sure I get my questions down here. Okay. Okay. So it's 5 parcels, and we have to. Okay. Yes. Okay. So Don is asking a question. So if the owner has 5 parcels and we mail to only one address for one of the properties, then if they have other parcels, we'd have to enter them separately. Is this correct? And yes, Don, that is actually correct. And we've had that case a lot of times. A lot of times, what we'll do, we'll have one parcel associated with a customer who has multiple records. So if the owner has 5 parcels, so it's very seldom that we get all of the same parcels in the initial mailing of the neutral letters. Now, sometimes we have maybe 1 or 2 of the parcels, but if the owner has multiple parcels, normally what we get back is we send out our prospect record. The owner calls back in. We go in and we edit the record because remember we send ours out to we have Pat Live who takes the calls. And so usually what Pat Live will do, we'll have on our callers comments, you know, owner has, 4 or 5 other parcels they are interested in selling. So we will see something like this in our callers comments. And so obviously, we're interested in getting back with that particular owner. We've even had the situation where they've listed, some of the ID numbers or parcel numbers here in the comments. We've also had them, believe it or not, they've listed all of the parcels, showing comments right in the property APN parcel number. So either way, the owner's telling you, hey, I'm interested in selling these other parcels as well. So I want offers on all of my parcels. So what would we do? We will make a separate record, same owner ID, obviously, same owner name, everything, but we'll make separate records for each one of those parcels and we will do individual analysis on each one of those parcels. And that's just a common thing. So a lot of times you may end up doing analysis on 6 different parcels and sending out offer letters for each one of those parcels. That's quite normal. Um, Not an issue. So let's see if there's another question around this same um, same area. When offering on multiple non-contiguous lots or APNs, do you bulk offer the group or individually offer each lot? Good question. And that came from JS. Yes, so when we have, when we're offering on multiple parcels, do you bulk offer? Do we bulk offer? No. Do we bulk offer? No. The only time we would probably use any kind of bulk offer is when we have in a subdivision, we're already aware of the type of parcels. If the parcels are very similar, but if these are non-contiguous lots or APNs, where they're not in a row, they're not sitting in the same area, they're different, clearly they're different APNs or different parcels. We're going to look up each and every one. Now, if they are in the same subdivision, I mean, we'll know that. We've had that happen a couple times where we've had several parcels in the same subdivision, and this is a good, how do we handle that? We would use this set offer option amounts because any records that are in pending preliminary research. Now, this is only if you know um, that subdivision, you've got some previous experience, and the size of the property is very pretty much the same. You looked at the county map, you see the size is about the same, the not the market value, but even the assessed value will be exactly the same. That's what we've seen. So the size is the same, the assessed value is the same. It's in the same subdivision. All the lots look the same. So answering your question, do you bulk offer? Only time we bulk offer is when they're all together. We can see them clearly. They have the same size. We'll do a bulk offer, and we actually do the set offer option amounts. So any other time, we will take each record individually. Each time we get one of these pending preliminary research, we'll go in and we will research that land individually, even if it belongs to the same exact owner. So I don't care how many of LS Ferguson's I have, if they're different, I'm going to treat them as individual records. Now, obviously, when I mail to her or him, I might put multiple offers in one envelope, one large envelope, and I'll send them all together, but they'll each have separate values and separate amounts. And I'll tell you what the advantage of that is. So when I mail multiple offers, I research them individually. And I find, I get numbers for each one, because a lot of times, at least in our case, the customers have taken, let's say 3 of those offers out, and they said, okay, well, I want to work a deal with you on these 3 properties, and they'll decide which properties they want. But I want to hold back these other 2 or 3 properties. So when I mail multiple offers, do I research all of them? Yes. And then do I mail them all? And I will mail them all to the customer and let them decide, and they decide which ones they want to accept our offers on. Okay, so leave that in their hands, and they'll come back and share with you what deals they want to do with you and on which properties. Okay, I hope that's pretty clear. All right. All right. Don't say if then. Realtor. Okay. Good. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the the grammar correction there. No problem. No problem at all. Hey man, appreciate you guys. You guys stay on top of things. Okay. So, okay, another question we had that came in. I don't know if it came in over the weekend or if it might have come in at the 2-day workshop, but question was, how long is a county list of data good for? Okay. Spare count. Okay, just make sure I get down the questions here. So how long is a county list of data good for? And this answer is going to vary. I can pretty much tell you that right now. I have found, we were teaching in the 2-day workshop that it's good for at least 6 months to a year. This is, like I say, this is gonna vary based on, at least our experience. We have found that some of our records went back, and I'm talking about after we had mailed them out, so they would be in the mailed letter 1 status. All right, and we went back a year and several months, maybe 3 or 4 months. We've even gone back a year and a half, and I've taken some of these same records that are in mail letter 1, and I've switched them back to prospects, and we've mailed back to a given county. And even after a year and a half or so of mailing back records, changing them from mail letter 1 to prospect, and then I send them out again. I send them to, letternet printing, have them sent out right back out. We have gotten some deals from customers that originally either lost the paperwork or did not reply back to us and say anything. But after mailing to them after a year, over a year, we actually got some deals. Now, so I know some of your wheels may be turning out there, and you may say, well, okay, well, how many deals did you get from these remailings? And that's a very good question. I can't really answer that truthfully at this point with some definitive numbers, because I haven't really had a chance to measure like the percentage of our remailings where we put these back in prospect status, mail them out again. How many deals did we get from that? That's something I'll be tracking more now that I have more time to implement some of the tracking techniques in this business to see, for the ones that we mailed back, how many deals did we get from that, on a percentage basis. So I'll definitely update you, in some future calls on how well that's working. There's so many things I want to implement when we send out letters now going forward. I want to be able to implement a lot more neighbor letters We've been able to do a few neighbor letters, but I want to really use the neighbor letter technique, and I'll share that in some upcoming calls how well that's working. But I anticipate that it's going to work. It's going to work quite well because we've got some other folks out there that have, you know, been very successful, saying anywhere from 30 to 40% return just using the neighbor letter technique. So I'll keep you all posted as to how that goes. Another question that we have here. Oh, very good question. How seriously should we take potential sellers' comments before making offers? Okay. This is a very good question because, it deals more so in the business processes of our business. But in any case, uh, when we have one of our representatives from Pat Live, they log in, pending preliminary research, per the record and pending preliminary research, they've talked to the customer, and a lot of times on the customer down in the caller's comments, the customer might say something like, using the caller's comments, they might say something like, don't call, or excuse me, don't just send an offer. I want to receive a phone call first. Yeah, when we get those, if we see them, a lot of times we will go on and give the person a call if we have time. But I know I've missed some of them where they had this in the caller's comments. But some callers' comments will be no offers less than 30,000 cash, and they might even put some explanation, exclamation points after that. I mean, they're serious, where it sounds like, they don't want you to even send them an offer if you're not offering them $30,000 cash. When they put in what's the estimated value of your property, they might put 40,000, in here. You do the research on the property and you find the property's worth 15,000 tops, or maybe 18,000, and they say, what's the estimated value? They'll put that, and say, if we can pay cash and close on any date, what would you at least, what would be the least that you would take for the property? And they'll put their 40,000, or they'll put 30,000, something like that in the comments. And so a lot of our new students will say, well, wow, I don't even want to send them an offer. And so the question was, how seriously should we take a lot of these comments? Well, you do want to read them and you do want to consider them. But we found that since they did call back and they did ask for an offer to be sent, we know that they're interested in selling the property. So a lot of times we will go on and we just will do our calculations, we'll do our analysis, and we will send them out an offer. I'm not going to say ignore the comments, but definitely don't get stressed out and don't get nervous about the fact that they say, hey, I don't want anything less than X amount of dollars for my property. I can't tell you how many deals that we have received from individuals that had, volume, actual values way up there, and we didn't offer them anything close. Some $30,000, $40,000, and we offered them, $1,268, and the next thing you know, we're closing a deal for $1,458. Uh, don't be thrown off by the comments that they put in a lot of their records, because you know they want the most for their land, and that's understandable. But we're looking for a certain mindset. And keep in mind, um, I don't know about you, but I don't know how many times I bought, Girl Scout cookies. I have no intention of eating the Girl Scout cookies, except the Thin Mints, of course. I'll eat the Thin Mints, but other than that, the Girl Scout was just so cute. She caught me at a time that I would really, open up my heart, open up my wallet, and give her the money for the Girl Scout cookies. I have no intention of eating them, um, but and I realized land is not like the Girl Scout cookies, but it was just said we catch somebody at the right time in the right frame of mind, and regardless to how much they're saying they want for that land, they will take a deal from you. So just be brave, go on and send them the offer. I mean, the worst they can do is tear it up, or give you a phone call back saying, you must be crazy. That's the worst that can happen, and that won't kill you. Okay, you'll be fine. So keep those offers going. And we have a question. Individual APN. Oh, okay. Okay, so very good question too. How to add individual APNs for the same owner. That's very good. Okay, so if I have this owner right here, and this record's in pending preliminary research, and of course the owner's saying, hey, I want uh, an offer on this property, and I've got another property that I want to add. You see this add additional property? This is right here for that particular purpose. If you have multiple, you have individual properties, individual APNs for the exact same owner, you just hit this add additional property. And when I do that, okay, it's going to bring me up another blank record, basically, but it's going to fill in their name. It will also fill in any address information, but it keeps this part empty. What is the property's APN or parcel number, what county, short legal. So it basically allows you to fill in all of this additional information, especially if you know the city and what state it's in. And don't forget to fill in your size in acres. And so that's how you do it, basically, is add the additional property, because it keeps the same owner ID and just adds another property ID, brand new property ID number, so that it keeps the records unique. Hopefully that will give you something good to go on there with that. That's a very good question. And okay. All right, I'm not quite following. I noticed, Don, you asked one question. Where do you keep the records in ID? I'm not clear on exactly which records you might be speaking of, because all the records are going to stay in your land deals record. So if you could clarify that a little bit, I'd appreciate it. And oh, okay, all right, good question. So when we have records for over a year, for 1 year plus, where do we keep them? We keep them right here in Investment Dominator in land deals. All right, that's the beauty of this particular CRM. It'll hold plenty of data. So we'll keep them. They'll stay in. A lot of them will stay in mail letter 1 status. and they'll stay down towards the bottom. They'll stay in mail letter 1. They'll have the, associated county, everything that we need right there. And I will simply come back in. I'll go down near the bottom. Obviously I have lots and lots of pages here. This is just a demo account. So we actually have lots of pages, and we'll go back and revisit them, and I'll send out maybe 150 or so of the, those in mail letter 1 to get a good sampling, and put them back in prospect status, send them out again, and then I'm sending out some newer records or some fresh prospect records from my county information that I'm processing at the same time. So that's how I get my counts up every week that I send out. Hopefully we send out at least 400, 450, maybe 500 a week, and that's how we keep that going. So the answer to your question is they stay right here in Investment Dominator in mailed letter 1. You shouldn't exceed any limits for a long time, especially if you're new. You're going to be, it's going to take you a while to get up to those numbers where you'll be in any kind of, have any kind of issue. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you another good question here. So with regards to coming back, what makes us come back to reprocess these records in mail letter 1? Specifically, reprocess these records. That's a very good question, and what makes us come back is simply over the course of time, we have probably, in fact, I know we have looked at several of our counties. We looked at the performance of several of our counties. Where have we gotten our deals? Based on the success that, where we've actually done deals, it becomes very apparent which one of your counties that you're dealing with is going to be, one of your, we call your home run counties. Which ones may run a little bit slower. So depending on which new records I'm bringing out at the time that are in prospect, I may look back and say, oh, okay, well, this particular county worked very well for us a couple of years back, and go back to that county again based on the success, how many deals we were able to do, how many calls did we get when we sent out, 100, 200 records. Those are some of the factors we look at to determine why we'll go back. Okay, so that's hopefully gives you a little bit more insight there into what will cause us to look at those records again and go back and see. And again, there's quite a few of you in the room tonight. So if I don't get all of your questions answered, I'll do my best to get them answered here by Thursday. Okay, another good question. We had some of this from the 2-day workshop, but I noticed this may have come in over the weekend, and it has to do with when is it a good time. Basically, we're looking at the difference between the option package versus the contract package, and I know we had that question in the Investment Dominator 2-day workshop. Okay, option package versus contract package, and I think Jack presented this in the 2-day, but what I would definitely call your attention to, and I want to make sure I can show you. It's really, this is not so much an Investment Dominator question as it is a business question, but we'll go on and at least give you an initial, take an initial stab at it here. And so when it's a good time to use the option package versus the contract package, we normally always use the contract agreement when we purchase property. It's seemingly to me, it's more um, concrete, it's more ironclad, and but people want to know what's the difference, between the option and the contract. And what I would definitely call your attention to would be your land profit generator, and I believe we'd be looking under the coaching, and specifically we could look at I believe it is module, picture of Jonathan, module number 10. They've changed this a little bit since the last time I've been in it. But this module 10 has a discussion basically on, I believe that's on this one, the contract or options versus the contract, if you want to get into more depth in understanding the difference between the two. But basically, just high level here, a contract is going to be your written commitment to purchase this property from the seller, for an agreed amount of money, and um, you have a specific date, a certain date that you're going to close escrow on this property. So when you write them a contract, uh, this is a promise to purchase, and the seller expects you to buy that property at a specific time, and there's certain clauses within the contract, um, and they actually work in our favor where you can back out of that contract at any time. Now, uh, these people, remember, they don't really care about their property. They've already communicated to you they want to sell their property, so they like having a contract. Now, an option agreement, it it gives the optionee or us the right to purchase that property at some given point. And you'll see this as you get into this module in the LPG2 system. You'll see it as it'll get into explaining more. But basically, this is not a real obligation to buy the property. It's an option. You have an option to buy the property for a given price within a given time at some period of time in the future. But basically, if we don't exercise our right to purchase that property at a given time, like it says in our agreement, we no longer are responsible to purchase the property. The option kind of just expires. So it's um, the option basically would allow you to lock down a property. Let's say a property that's very expensive. You can lock it down. If it is expensive, you can market the property, hopefully find a buyer without making any real promise to the seller that you're going to actually come through and purchase that property. So that's the difference between if you use an option versus a contract. But I just want you to know, in our business, since we've been in the business, um, I haven't heard a lot of individuals that have actually used options. Um, they work fine, but see, the only thing within the option, because it's not a real promise, if the owner of the property, the seller of the property, finds another person that is willing to pay them more or is willing to pay them to really close on that deal, um, you've just reserved the right to buy that property. You can't sue them. Whereas when you're in a contract with someone who has basically stated, hey, I'm going to sell you my property for a given amount of money. This is the date of escrow. Um, if they were to back out of the deal, you could actually sue them. You could actually take them to court because it's a contractual agreement. So that's really the difference between the contracts. But I would encourage you to go into more depth so that you understand it, when you might want to use an option versus when you want to use a contract. Okay. Hopefully that will give you all a little bit more in terms of option versus contracts. And let me see here. There's something I might have missed. All right. Thank you again for all of the heartfelt congratulations there. Okay. And we do have another one. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully this one I can finish here in the minutes that we have left. Another excellent question. I seem to be running out of my writing utensil. Okay. What are some of the struggles, or some of the main struggles in doing market analysis? Okay, to determine market value. Yes, there are quite a few struggles individuals have in looking into market value, determining market value. We had quite a few questions around that when we were at the 2-day workshop. And we have some students here who are struggling with the same thing. Okay, doing your market analysis, and I found that one of our main struggles in doing market analysis had to do with going into the county to determine and to get all of the data that I needed from the county. I'll give you an example of one here. Now this is a good, easy county to pull information from. But the three items that I'm always looking for, I'm looking for a tax department or tax administration department. I'm looking for some kind of GIS, where I can find maps. Tax administration, I'm looking for a GIS tab, and I'm looking for some kind of tax bill so I can see how much of this individual pay taxes for. But I'm looking for those three kind. And this one is a tax administration. I come in here, now see it has right here, I can search tax bills, so I can get my tax information from here. I can search real estate records. But I'm just saying, you want to pull those three pieces of information, or you want to have something that on the county website that takes you to tax administration, GIS, and a tax bill section so that you can do your market analysis. So as I look in here, if I, pull up Johnson. Hopefully there's a Paul Johnson out here that may own some property. Oh, there's a few. Okay. So I'll just pick one here. And you notice I was easily able to find out, this one has a property address, just so happens to have a property address. It has a, wow, total assessed value, 297,000. The land value assessed is 87,000. So it probably has a building on it, obviously has some kind of building. But I'm looking, to see what the land value is. This is an example here. This obviously has a building or a house, but basically I want to be able to quickly find my land value, assessed value. I want to be able to find a map so that I can pull up a map and see what the property actually looks like. And this is something that we saw, students struggling with, at the 2-day workshop, getting into actually manipulating and moving around in the county area. And then finally, I want to be able to search my tax information. I want to get a tax bill. I want to find out how much does this person, do they currently owe any taxes? Are they behind in taxes? So these are the three pieces of information I wanted to be able to pull very quickly. And I find learning to navigate certain tax, certain county sites. That one was Wake. If I go into another one, okay. And again, we're getting not so much, we're getting away from, this is Investment Dominator because you have to bring this data in and you're doing your analysis in Investment Dominator. So this is a part of the process. Going into departments, again, I'm looking for my different departments. I'm looking for a GIS. I'm looking for my tax information, tax department, something like this. That will allow me to, once I get into the tax, then I want to be able to search my real estate and search my tax bills. Those are, again, the three, and this is something that hangs students up a little bit in the beginning when they're doing their market analysis, because again, what we're trying to do is we're coming back trying to find an actual, let's see, we're trying to find the market analysis. We're trying to find the market value of property. We're trying to find out what the county assesses that property at, so that we can now go in and determine what we're going to calculate an offer. What offer are we going to calculate when we come in here to calculate the offer amount? What are we going to settle on as an offer? So that's the reason why it's very important to be able to navigate these different websites and to find your maps so that you can determine what the property looks like, and then of course determine how much you're going to pay for that property. And each county website is a little different, but you just have to be patient with yourself and continue just to go after them. And here's a tip: you can always call the county records, their actual GIS department will help you, or their tax department will help you. They'll actually be representatives. If you're nice to them, they will be nice to you. And we've had them actually, take us on their website and tell us, okay, click on this and then go into here and to tax information. They will actually help you to find the information you're looking for. So you can actually call them, find their number on the website and call them, and they will assist you. So I'm hoping that gives you, it's in the beginning, it's a little struggle trying to find and navigate to some of the county sites, but you can do it if you stick with it. Okay. So in wrapping up our session for tonight, want to leave you with a thought. I've seen extreme bravery from the least likely of people. Life is about the moments when it's all gone wrong. That's when we define ourselves. And that was from a person, Bear Grylls. I've seen extreme bravery from the least likely of people. Life is about the moments when it's all gone wrong, and that's when we get defined. All right. So I want to encourage you to go forward and continue to do those deals and send those records out. And we'll be right back here on Thursday, 12 noon, for another Q&A session. Thanks for the questions, and thanks for you all participating tonight. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.